Lost Spring. By Anis Jung. Short questions with key points. 1. Why does the author call Saheb's life a morning of hope? Saheb is a young ragpicker, full of dreams. Despite his harsh life, he holds on to hope for a better future. Dreams of education but is trapped in poverty. 2. Why did Saheb stop working at the tea stall? Initially happy to earn 800 rupees, but the job takes away his freedom. He loses the joy of wandering and collecting garbage, which he associates with freedom. 3. What is the irony in Saheb's name? His name, Saheb-e-Alam, means Lord of the Universe. Ironically, he lives a life of poverty and helplessness. 4. Why do children in Firozabad not know that it is illegal for them to work in glass factories? The children are unaware of laws due to illiteracy and lack of awareness. Poverty forces them into labor despite legal protections. 5. Why did the bangle makers not organize into a cooperative? Fear of the police and local authorities. Exploited by middlemen and moneylenders who control the trade. Long questions with key points. 1. Discuss the exploitation of children in the story Lost Spring. Children like Saheb and those in Firozabad are trapped in child labor. Saheb works as a ragpicker. Others work in hazardous glass factories. Poverty and lack of education push them into labor. Middlemen and factory owners exploit their labor, perpetuating poverty. The government and society fail to enforce child protection laws. 2. Lost Spring presents a stark contrast between dreams and reality. Discuss. Children like Saheb dream of going to school and living a normal childhood. Reality forces them into labor, crushing the dreams. The bangle makers of Firozabad inherit a profession they do not choose, which traps them in poverty. The contrast highlights the failure of society to address systemic poverty. 3. How does the title Lost Spring justify the central theme of the chapter? Spring symbolizes childhood, hope, and innocence. Lost refers to how poverty and labor strip children of these qualities. The chapter highlights how the potential of children is wasted in the face of exploitation. 4. Analyze the socio-economic conditions of the ragpickers of Simapuri and the bangle makers of Firozabad. Both communities live in abject poverty, with no basic amenities. Ragpickers in Simapuri survive on collecting garbage. The bangle makers are trapped in a generational trade. Middlemen exploit both groups, ensuring they remain in poverty. Government apathy and a lack of education further worsen their conditions. Detailed questions with key points. 1. Examine the role of poverty in shaping the lives of the ragpickers in Simapuri. The ragpickers are immigrants from Bangladesh, fleeing hunger and deprivation. They live in extreme poverty with no access to basic amenities like sanitation or clean water. Ragpicking is their only means of survival, trapping them in a cycle of poverty. Education is not an option due to the necessity of earning a living. 2. Describe the role of middlemen in the exploitation of bangle makers in Firozabad. Middlemen control the pricing and sale of bangles, leaving the workers with minimal earnings. Workers are dependent on middlemen, unable to escape the grip due to debt and exploitation. The system discourages any attempts at forming cooperatives or fighting exploitation. 3. Food is more important for survival than identity. Comment on this statement in the context of Saheb's family in Simapuri. Saheb's family left their homeland in search of food, sacrificing the cultural identity. Survival takes precedence over any personal or community identity in the face of hunger. This highlights how poverty strips people of their heritage, focusing solely on survival. 4. How does Anis Jung depict the lost childhood of the bangle makers of Firozabad? From a young age, children are forced to work in hazardous conditions. They are deprived of education and the joys of childhood, spending the days in glass factories. The dangerous environment and the physical toll of work take away their innocence and freedom. The generational nature of the occupation ensures they are trapped in this life. 5. What does the chapter Lost Spring reveal about the aspirations and dreams of the underprivileged? Saheb and the children of Firozabad have dreams, but poverty crushes them. Saheb dreams of going to school, but instead, he works as a ragpicker. The bangle makers of Firozabad inherit a trade that leaves them no room for hope or change. The chapter shows how systemic poverty and exploitation destroy dreams and potential. 6. Discuss the generational cycle of poverty in Firozabad as highlighted in Lost Spring. The bangle making trade is passed down through generations, trapping families in poverty. Lack of education and awareness prevents children from seeking alternatives. Middlemen and sahukas exploit the workers, ensuring they remain dependent on the trade. This generational cycle of poverty is sustained by systemic corruption and exploitation. 7. How does the story of Saheb reflect the broader issue of child labor in India? Saheb's life mirrors the millions of children in India trapped in child labor. Despite legal protections, poverty forces children like Saheb to work. The system fails to provide education or opportunities for these children to escape labor. Child labor continues because of the economic structures that benefit from it. 8. What role does the government play in the lives of the people of Simapuri and Firozabad? The government's presence is minimal, offering no significant support to these communities. In Simapuri, basic infrastructure is missing, leaving the ragpickers to fend for themselves. In Firozabad, laws against child labor are not enforced, allowing exploitation to continue. Corruption and the influence of middlemen prevent the government from effectively helping these communities.